Ain't it so frustrating when you're working out, you're using the weights, doing what your friends say, but you're not achieving the goals, you're not losing weight? Well, I've been there too, and these 11 techniques are what helped me actually lose weight in my fitness goals. Hey, my name is Michael Thompson. On this channel, we discuss personal and professional development from a Christian perspective. Today, we're gonna go through 11 tips that have helped me get fit and stay there year round, but in a sustainable way. No extreme methods or diets are gonna be discussed here. The lessons that I've learned in fitness, they've played a pivotal role in my ability to do my job and also to stay in school. And a lot of those lessons, they translate in the different areas. So how do you get fit and stay there? Take Ozempic. Just kidding, don't do that, okay? A magic pill doesn't skip all the character and all the lessons that you learn when it comes to fitness. So the first thing you need to make sure that you're doing is building muscle. Work smarter, not harder. So a lot of people think that if they get on the treadmill every single day, that's what's gonna get them in shape. When actually, the treadmill is a great tool, but the key to losing weight and to looking a certain way is building muscle, because muscle shreds fat. If you didn't learn anything else in this video, just know that muscle shreds fat. And when you increase your resting metabolic rate, that means that your body burns more calories by you just breathing. And it's not by getting on the treadmill that you increase your resting metabolic rate, you increase your muscle mass and the muscle shreds the fat. And a lot of girls are like, I don't wanna look like a guy. Okay, you're not gonna look like a guy. Just because you work out and you touch the weights doesn't make you have traps like a football player. The ladies that look like men are the ones that are taking testosterone. If ladies, you just build muscle, then you're gonna be able to stay lean. And to prove that, the average man weighing about 180 pounds, whenever he doesn't have very much muscle, he's gonna burn about 1,700 calories a day. But a guy who has a lot of muscle, and not steroids, just a lot of muscle, he's gonna burn 2,400 calories a day, and that's without anybody getting on the treadmill. So the key isn't getting on the treadmill, the key is building muscle. And when you train by building muscle, you're not having to work as hard. But I tell people that whenever you're getting on the treadmill all the time, trying to burn the muscle that way, you're kind of like a hamster on a wheel. You're not really getting a lot of leverage in what you're doing, and you have to always do more treadmill work to remain at that weight. So don't go to the treadmill, work on building muscle. And the cardio is a good thing, it's a tool, but don't get super hung up on doing cardio only, because then you're not gonna build muscle. Remember, muscle shreds the fat. The second tip is calorie counting. Now, a lot of ladies say, oh, you can't count calories because that messes with how I view my body and it just messes with me. But here's the deal. When you count your calories, the reality is you realize how many calories you're actually eating. Whenever you look at the calories in sauces and whenever you look at the calories in drinks, you would be blown away at how many calories are actually in those things. And what I see a lot is people, they're like, oh, I can't lose this weight, I wanna look this way, and I'm doing the working out, right? What's going on? Well, whenever you don't track everything that you're eating, you don't realize how many calories are sneaking in through these back doors. And one of the helpful just facts out there is that there are about 3,500 calories in a pound. So if you really wanna look a very healthy way, you wanna be a certain weight, manage your weight like an accountant would manage his numbers. Pick a goal, how much you wanna weigh, and then lose 1 pound every single week until you get to that goal. Now, if you're really overweight, you can lose weight quicker, but then the lower body fat you are, the harder it is to lose weight. And then as you lose weight, your body becomes more efficient, and it becomes a challenge because you have to increase the level of intensity that you're doing things. You have to change things up because your body is a very efficient machine, and it will change. So the point is, count the calories though. And whenever you count the calories, you're gonna be able to see things that you hadn't seen before. Another tip that I got from somebody on YouTube was control 2 of the 3 meals every single day. And this gives you the ability to be flexible. As a pastor, I spend a lot of time going out to eat with other people, and I don't always get to choose the restaurant, but I do know that if I control 2 meals out of the day, then I'm setting myself up for success. Now, even if I can't control the 2 meals out of the day, sometimes it's helpful just to only eat 2 meals out of the day. And by default, if you only eat 2 meals, you're doing some kind of a intermittent fasting, whether that's waiting to eat after lunch or just spreading out the time that you eat between a certain window. All these things are good, but one thing that is very sustainable is controlling 2 of the 3 meals a day. Number 4, do not drink calories. I'm gonna say this again, don't drink calories. I really like soda, I'm just being honest. I like soda, and whenever I'm drinking a lot of soda, that's a leaking hole in my fitness bucket, all right? whenever you are constantly drinking the root beer, drinking the Pepsi, and if you ask my wife, she talks about how even if you drink the fake sugar, that's just as bad for you. So I'm not here to make a claim on either one of those, but you need to make sure that you're eating and drinking sugar in moderation. And if you have a specific weight goal that you haven't achieved before, don't drink any calories. And that's a really easy way that you can cut out calories that you're naturally getting. Then once you've cut out the calories, you can decide what is moderation for you. Once you've got to the spot and you've got to the weight that you want to be in, it's not like you can't ever have a soda. It's just important to do these things in moderation. You don't want to completely cut out all the good, fun sugars out of your life. Some people say that they're going to cut out all sugar. And yeah, maybe you can do that, but I don't want to do that. I really like sugar. That's just me personally, but do it in moderation. Weigh yourself every morning is the 5th tip. Now, this is a routine that, just like controlling 2 out of 3 meals every day, it's very sustainable. Whenever you weigh yourself every day, it's similar to this. There's a business principle out there that says that you should bring the number of whatever the goal is for the team, bring the number up every single day, because when people see a number, they naturally want to beat it. And in the same way, whenever you're weighing yourself all the time, you're constantly seeing how much you weigh, and then there's a subconscious thing that I can't even really explain it, but you see the weight and it's not what you want it to be, and then throughout the day, you just know where you're at. And that's a huge part of being as healthy as your goal is to be, is just knowing where you're at. Like the 2 out of 3 meals a day, this is just a sustainable way of making sure that you are where you want to be. And weight doesn't tell the whole story. There have been times whenever I was like building a lot of muscle and then my weight wasn't changing. So I was kind of frustrated because I was like, I'm trying to lose weight and get to a certain body fat level, but there's this thing called body recompromise where you're building muscle and you're losing weight at the same time. You're looking different, you'll see progress. Remember, you don't see progress as quick as you think because you see yourself in the mirror every single day. So a lot of times when people they're getting into fitness, they get discouraged because they look in the mirror and they're like, I don't look how I want to look. But the thing is, you have to realize that you're seeing yourself every day and you're not going to be able to see that progress. But when your body recompromises, then you're not necessarily losing weight, but you're still moving in the right direction because you're building the muscle. Weigh yourself every morning. Keep a tab on where you're at and where you want to go as far as how much you weigh. Another tip, number 6, is surround yourself with healthy people. You pick up the characteristics of the people who are around you, and you can see this even with the way that somebody laughs. I don't know if you've ever been in a situation where you started laughing different than the way you had the last couple of years, and whenever your laugh changes and you're like, man, I don't really know why I laughed that way, and it could be because you're spending a lot of time with another person that laughs the same way that you recently started laughing. That's just one example, but also humor, different kinds of humor. When you hang out with somebody, you can tell, my humor's changing because I've spent a lot of time with this person. But even when it comes to health, if you're not surrounded by anybody who's healthy, then you're not naturally gonna value health. And you can even see that, I'm meddling here, but you can even see that in which states tend to be more healthy than others, because the people around you tend to influence you in all the different ways, health included. You get ideas from these people, so it's important to surround yourself with healthy people. Number 7, have a plan and a goal for exercise. I've mentioned before that I follow a guy named Julian Smith. Been following him now it's been like 4 or 5 years. I really enjoy the workouts that he puts out, and they're only $6 a day. And that $6 is really worth paying every month because it takes all the planning and time out of getting ready for my workouts. And another important thing is having a flexible goal. Whenever I'm looking at my week, my goal is to work out 5 days a week and run for 30 minutes and weight train for an hour. That's just the general goal I shoot for, and that's pretty standard throughout the year. But then in certain seasons, I'll scale up or scale back. In my current season, I'm lifting for about an hour, 6 days a week, and running for 20 minutes. So you can see how that's a little bit different than the general year-long goal, but that's just because I recently have come really, really close to the weight that I wanna be. And so that means that I'm able to scale back my running a little bit. I've also been fighting a little bit of a knee injury this year, and recently I've started stretching, which has helped a lot. So that running is a little bit less because of the knee injury, but I have a plan, I have a goal for exercise, and it scales up and down throughout the year based on how I've executed, based on if I'm close to my weight that I wanna be or far away. Number 8, have a plan for what you're gonna eat. When you plan ahead of time, some people call that pre-deciding. And if you wait until the moment that it's time for you to eat a meal, you are going to make the wrong decision almost every single time. So you need to make a plan. Have a plan for what you eat, and whenever you have a plan, number 1, you're already pre-deciding what you're going to eat, but then also you spend the money to buy that kind of food, and then if you don't eat it, then you're wasting the money. all these different tips, all these different little factors make a huge difference. And the most consistent that I've ever been with eating, I did a protein shake for breakfast, and then I did eggs and toast for lunch. I shifted, the breakfast meal to lunch because eggs are just so high in protein, and that protein is what builds the muscle, and you stay full. Okay, prioritize protein, that's the point. And that consistent part of my life, that's when I got to right around 10% body fat, 10, 11%. It's hard because I didn't pay for that really expensive thing that you put your hands on the bar and then you step on the scale, measures all your body. I just went online, and you can do this too. You can look at 10% body fat, 11% body fat, and then all the way up to 30%. You can kind of see about what you look like. Obviously, everyone's build is a little bit different, but I got to that spot by having protein shake for breakfast, and then eggs and toast for lunch, and then something high protein for dinner. And you'll also really be motivated to eat the way you're supposed to when you track your progress. That's number 9. Tip 9 is track your progress, and it's easy for you to stop in fitness because you're not seeing progress. Make a way for you to track your effectiveness. And the best way to do this is to keep a written log of the calories that you eat, and then see how many days in a row you can eat the amount of calories that you want to eat. Remember, do this like you're an accountant, like you're a numbers person, a money guy. Pick how many calories you want to be at a deficit every single day, and then do 3,500 calories in a pound, and then do the math for how long it's going to take you to reach your goal. Whenever you do that, you're going to be able to much better predict the direction that you're going in. And you'll also, there's something to be said, if you've never lost weight before, about knowing what it feels like to be at a caloric deficit. It's not necessarily, it's different feeling that hunger and then knowing, okay, I'm not starving, but I am at a deficit. Once you know what that feeling is like, you won't necessarily have to write down the numbers all the time. You'll be able to kind of tell. It's hard to explain if you've never been there before. If you fasted, you kind of know what this is like. It's not really the first time you feel hungry. That's probably more your stomach and the habit that you have of eating. Maybe it's when you're bored, or sometimes even you'll be hungry and the reality is you're actually thirsty. Your stomach's just kind of reacting. So whenever you're doing these different progress trackers, keep that written down so that you can actually see that you're dropping the calories, and then you know what it feels like because you're at a deficit. Do this on a spreadsheet. That's the cheap way to do it. And then when you see these days of success adding up, there is a lot of motivation that comes from that. Then what you're doing is every time that you have a successful day, you're basically adding a link to the chain. So in your mind, picture you're trying to build momentum, you're trying to build this new lifestyle, and you need a bunch of individual links in order to get to that lifestyle. Every day that you're successful, and the way that you track that is on that spreadsheet. That's the free way. You can also do weight trackers and things like that. There's I think it's Lifetime Fitness, and then MyFitnessPal. There's a few of those different apps, but you got to pay for them. But either way, watch what your weight is, know when your goal is to reach that weight, and then know what you're gonna do every day to reach that goal. Personally, in a different way than fitness, recently for one of my school assignments, we had to make basically a habit tracker list for how many hours we put towards our doctoral work. So it was really cool, and I'm glad that my teacher pushed me to do this assignment, because in each one of the categories, it's like, okay, here's week 1, here's the 5 days, here's week 2, the 5 days, all the way up through 15 weeks, and then each one of us had to set a goal of how many hours we were gonna spend doing our doctoral work outside of our family and outside of our jobs. But then at the end of each week, you see the summary, and the last couple weeks, I wasn't as successful as I wanted to be. And that scoreboard was incredibly motivating, because it's like, oh, okay, I'm not doing what I need to do. Same way in fitness. You're gonna be able to see, oh, I'm not reaching the goal that I need to reach. What do I need to change? And then you're gonna be set up for success. Number 10, do not think in terms of all or nothing. Here's the thing in fitness, you're gonna fail. Anytime that you try to do something difficult, or you try to be a certain level of fitness, you're not gonna be successful 100% of the time. So when you fail, or you miss a day, or something happens that messes you up, don't let that make you miss 2 days. Miss 1 day, don't miss 2. If you miss 2, don't miss 3. Don't get so hyper-focused on perfection, because we're people, we're not perfect, okay? That's why Jesus came and died for our sins, because we are imperfect people, and he died for our sins for a spiritual reason, so that we could spend eternity in heaven. And that shows that we are sinfully imperfect, but we're also imperfect when we try to do things like be incredibly healthy. But there's also something to be said about momentum. Once you have certain habits and a certain lifestyle, you're gonna be able to afford to miss days because you're very consistent all the other days. And then as you spent years of being fit, then it's easier and easier to stay fit in the future. And then even working out, it sounds crazy, but it gets fun. So the reality is that if you're falling off the train, you're normal, okay? You need to plan when you start. How are you going to deal with the failure? How are you gonna deal with whenever you miss a habit or you miss a day when you're trying to lose the weight? Don't get discouraged. Avoid the all or nothing mentality. Do your best to be consistent, but if you fail, don't get discouraged and don't give up. And when you head into setting up a new routine, make sure that you remember that you are gonna fail and don't allow that to just let you completely fall off the wagon. Most of the time, how successful you are at being fit, or really anything you do, is how well you deal with failure. And that's a really important piece. Number 11, this is the last one, willpower management. Every time you do something, it costs willpower. And I was talking with a friend today about how you have like 10 cups of willpower in a day, and every time you do something difficult, you're taking a cup away. And sometimes we look at people and we're like, how in the world do they make time for fitness and for this in their job and for this in their family, all these things, when in reality, they're not working as hard at the gym as what you have to because you're starting, or they're not working as hard at their job as what you are because they've been doing it for a while. They're managing their willpower well. They're doing the most important things at the beginning of the day so that as the day goes on, the importance of the tasks that they're doing is less and less. And you'll see a lot of these people, man, they get really consistent in the gym, and then it's something they look forward to doing, and they get really, their habits change when it comes to what they eat too. Their taste buds change. I know some people that don't even like to drink soda, and it's crazy to me because I still like to drink soda, but they've just not had it in so long, and then it tastes too sweet to them. So all these things stack up, and then whenever you stay consistent, manage your willpower, and you work on those things, over time it does get easier. And an example of this is running. There are some people out there that run literally like 50 and 100 miles at one time. It's crazy. But at first when they start, running is not fun. And then over time, their body gets used to it, they know what to expect, and then they're able to run like 100 miles. That will probably never be me, but it still works. I hope you've enjoyed this video about fitness, so get out there, get healthy. Use these 11 tips, but not all at once. Pick one or two, stick with them, and then add another one later. And if you want to know more about achieving long-term goals, I made a video on that. So if you have a long-term health goal you want to achieve, watch this video, and we'll see you guys in the next one.